Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon, and today we're making a Hunger Games inspired cake. For between the layers of the cake, I'm using a peach ganache, and to make that, strain some peach juice off some tinned peaches and then heat it to a boil. Pour the hot juice over the white chocolate and push the chocolate down so it's all in contact with the juice. Leave it to sit for a minute and then stir it until it's smooth. If you still have a few lumps like this, then you might need to microwave it for about 10 seconds to melt those. Set it aside to firm up. If you've got time, just leave it at room temperature on the bench overnight. If not, if you need it in a hurry, then put it in the fridge. Now to make our ganache for the outside of the cake, I'm using a mixture of dark and milk chocolate and using cream like you normally do. Heat that up and pour it over the top just like we did for the juice. All of the recipe details that you need to make these cakes, including the amount of juice and chocolate and the cake recipes and the amount of fondant you need, all of that is detailed on the website howtocookthat.net, and I'll put a link to the Hunger Games blog post in the description just below this video. To make your cakes, turn on your oven and grease and line your tins. You need to make 3 cakes to make it the height of the one that's shown, and you can either use a cake mix or use the sponge cake recipe that's on the website. Take out half a cup of the mixture and place it into a clean bowl, and then repeat that with another half a cup of mixture. Colour one of them orange using some red and yellow food colouring, and the other one a deep red. Pour your cake mixture evenly between your 3 tins, and then using a spoon put large dots of coloured batter on the top. Take a knife and then swirl that through the mix. You don't want to mix it so much that it just all blends together. We want it to look like swirls of flame going through the cake. Bake that in the oven, and to check if it's ready, put a knife into the centre. If it's still gooey in the middle, put it back in the oven. If the knife comes out clean, then it's done. Run the knife around the outside of the tin and leave it to cool. Take your cooled cake and shake the tin up and down on each side to check that it's loose. Then tip the cake out and peel the paper off the base. Because my cake plate is not completely flat, I'm going to flip the cake upside down and put the rounded side onto the concave part of the plate. So that your cake doesn't slip, add a small amount of your peach ganache to the plate and then add your cake. Add half of the ganache and spread it over the cake, and then use a knife to level off the top of the next layer. Peel the paper off the bottom and place the cake on top. Take your third cake and level it, and then cut it on a diagonal angle from the top of one corner right down to the base on the opposite side. Put the remaining peach ganache on top and then add that sloped layer that we just made. Look at your cake from the side, and if your tins are sloped on the edges like these ones, then you're going to need to use your knife to cut off a small layer and even out the sides so that they're straight all the way around. Next, when you look at your cake, check that the slope on top is completely flat. If you need to, cut a small amount out of the middle layer of cake and then smooth off the top, making sure it's perfectly flat. Using your chocolate ganache, spread a thin layer over the top and all over the sides of your cake. This only needs to be thin, as I said, and don't worry if it has a few crumbs in it. That's the purpose of this layer, is to catch all of those crumbs from the fresh cake. Put that into the fridge for about an hour to let that crumb coat firm up. While that's in the fridge, we need to make the pin to go on top of the cake, and it needs to be a size that will fit the cake well. There's a picture of it in the size that I am using on the website, so you can print it out from there. Find 2 bowls or containers in your kitchen that fit the size of the outer and inner circles of the pin. Place some non-stick paper over the top, roll out some black fondant and cut around the bigger bowl and then the smaller one. Use your smaller bowl to smooth out and line up your circle with the one that's on the picture. Now cut out the Mockingjay part of the pin so that we can use it as a template in a minute. We still need the other part, so don't destroy it when you're cutting it out. I've read all of the Hunger Games books and they're really well written, but they have quite a disturbing theme. I think it's interesting though, when you read or watch a movie, we tend to associate with the main characters in the story. In this case, they're poor and struggling to get enough food to eat, while those in the capital are feasting on plenty. For the arrow part, roll out some black fondant to the length of the arrow, making it quite thick, and then cut it with a pizza cutter into a long strip. Cut an extra triangle and add it to the top of the arrowhead using a little water, and then make an indent on either side of the centre. Trim the arrow to the right length and then cut an extra piece of black and fold it in half. Cut it in the middle and attach it to either side of the end, and then repeat that a little further up the shaft with another one. Roll out some more black fondant and place the Mockingjay on top and cut around it with a knife. Place this over the top of the circle using the template to guide you as to where to put it. Put the arrow over the template, and where the bird's tail is, cut out the underneath of the arrow so that it's thinner and it can fit over the tail. Then cut the arrow in two where it meets the beak and trim the underneath of the arrow end too. Slide the baking paper that has the ring on it over to the template and put the end of the arrow in place. Then take the top end of your arrow and thin it out where it crosses the circle and cut off the beak part. Then using a little water to attach it, put it into place. To build up the body of the Mockingjay, roll a sphere of fondant and then make it teardrop shaped by rolling one side and place it onto the template and make it the right shape and then transfer it to the pin. Roll out a thin snake of black fondant and then run that along the top edge of the wing. Place a little bit of water on the top wing and put another snake along that edge, tucking it under at the end. If you look at the picture, you'll see there's an indent in that part, so take your knife and push down gently on the snake so that you have that cut in it there. Now for the head. Make a teardrop shape and then slightly flatten the sides using your fingers and thumb. Place it on the template and shape the top of it into a point, and then using a little water, put it into place. Then use a knife to scratch some lines into the body, going from the head around the body, and then some more on the tail and the head. Look at your picture as you do this so you know where the lines go, and then put your knife on a flatter angle and use it to make indents along the edges of the wing. Roll out another snake and put it down the centre of the beak, blending it at the top, and then use a toothpick to make holes for the eyes. For the other feathers on the wing, roll some tiny balls of fondant and make them teardrop shaped and put them into place. As I was saying earlier in the story, the people in the capital have an abundance while those in the sectors are starving. And while reading the book or watching the movie, we associate with the poor characters, which are the main characters. But in reality, if you, like me, live in a house or an apartment, if you also have a car and some money in the bank, then we're among the top 8% of the world's wealthy. Let me introduce you to Lillian.
All across Africa, there are very many children who are disadvantaged, orphaned, and living in miserable circumstances. I was such a child that was vulnerable. My mother died when I was 3 months old, and my father was kidnapped when I was 5 months old, and so I was taken to my stepmother's home, and I was the one fetching water from miles and miles, serving the people, washing people's clothes, washing people's shoes. It made me feel like I am useless. So we would go to the neighbors to collect leftovers for the pigs. So we would share with the pigs.
Lillian had no one. She was eating scraps that were given to the pigs, and compassion helped her. They gave her medical care, food, and an education. Our generation has the resources to end global poverty. I'll put a link under this video to the Compassion website, and I'd really like you to consider going there and donating a chicken or vegetable seeds or even a goat to a family that's living in conditions just like those in the movie. We personally sponsor a child through Compassion, and my kids choose one of the Compassion gifts each year to buy with their own pocket money to give to someone in need. And when you give, you don't just provide food, you're also giving hope to these beautiful people, letting them know that they're not forgotten, that somebody cares. Back to our capital-like reality, using a dry paintbrush, dust over the fondant with some gold luster dust. The colour that I'm using is called antique gold, and you can buy luster dust from cake decorating stores. Take your cake out of the fridge and cover it with another layer of ganache. Any crumbs will be set in the first layer that you put on, which makes it easy to get a nice smooth finish. Run your palette knife around the edges and then smooth off any little bits that are sticking up by gently swiping into the middle of the cake. Take your sugar and water and glucose syrup, or you can use corn syrup, and put it into a saucepan and bring it to a boil over high heat. Once the sugar is dissolved, wash down the sides of the pan and leave it unstirred until it just starts to go slightly golden in one part of it. Remove it from the heat and quickly stir in some red colour on one side and some yellow on the other, then immediately pour it out onto some non-stick baking paper. Place another sheet over the top and spread it out. Do not touch this with your hands as it's extremely hot or will blister instantly if you get it on you. While it's still warm, use a knife to indent where you want it to break so that you can get some nice flame shapes. Once it's completely cooled, peel off the paper and snap it into long pieces, and then add those to the side of your cake. Allow the sugar flames to come up just slightly above the top of the cake, and start at the front so that you have the best looking pieces there. Using your palette knife to help you, very carefully lift up the Mockingjay pin and place it onto the cake. If you have more time, you can make these fondant details ahead and then they'll dry out. They only take about 3 days to dry, which makes it easy to put onto the cake, but you can make it up to a month or two ahead. Add a few smaller flames to the top around the pin. If you want this Mockingjay pin that you've just seen me make, then I can post this one anywhere in the world. I'll take it off the cake and set it aside for you. All you have to do if you want it is just check out the Compassion website, give a gift to someone who is in need and put it in the comments below that you've done so. Or if you really can't do that, then at least share the video and give someone else the opportunity to. And you can serve it just like that, or to make it more dramatic, then we can add real flames. To do that, take 2 heat-proof pie dishes, one bigger than the other, and put the smaller one upside down in the centre of the bigger one. Take 2 pieces of foil and line the edges up together and fold the edges over on themselves at least 3 times, and then open up the foil flat. Mould it over the smaller plate, being careful not to put any holes in it. Push it down into the gap between the bowls to make a valley, and then wrap it around the base of the larger bowl so that it looks like this. Check that there's a gap between your cake plate and where the flames will be. If you don't want the sides of your cake to melt, then you'll need an even bigger gap. Remember that this is real fire, so it is going to be hot. Place the cake in the centre and place salt in the channel that you've made. The reason we use salt is because alcohol burns blue, so it can be hard to see, but if we sprinkle some salt over it, then the flame becomes red. Pour some high-strength alcohol like vodka into a jug and warm it slightly. I used 5 seconds in the microwave. If you warm it too much, all the alcohol will evaporate off, and if it's not warm enough, it will be too hard to light. Pour the alcohol into the alfoil and light it up using a brulee torch. The more alcohol you add, the longer it will burn for, but it will also melt the sides of your cake too. And remember, never pour more alcohol from the bottle onto a flame, because the flame will follow the alcohol up into the bottle, setting it alight and spraying flames around the room. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give someone hope through compassion and share this video so others can too. If you are new to How to Cook That, hit the subscribe button for all the latest cakes, chocolates and desserts, and have a great week. I'll see you on Friday.